The air in the dining room hung heavy, thick with the scent of roasted lamb and something sharper. Betrayal, maybe, or the metallic tang of my own dread. I sat at the edge of the polished mahogany table, my fingers tracing the cold rim of a wine glass, its contents untouched. Across from me, Claire's family stared, their eyes like daggers honed by years of propriety. Her mother, Evelyn, pursed her lips, her pearl earrings glinting under the chandelier's glow. Her father, Richard, cleared his throat, a sound like gravel underfoot. Their demand still echoed in my skull. "We need to speak to the owner of this house about your presence here." They thought I was an intruder, a stranger in Claire's life. If only they knew how deeply I was entwined in it. I'd known Claire for 3 years, loved her for 2. She was my anchor, her laugh a melody that could pull me from any darkness. But tonight, as her family sat rigid, their disdain palpable, I felt the ground beneath me shift. Claire's hand rested on mine under the table, her touch warm but fleeting, like a promise she wasn't sure she could keep. I wanted to believe it was nerves, her family's unexpected visit, their old money arrogance clashing with my modest roots. But there was something else, a flicker in her eyes when she glanced at her phone, a hesitation in her voice when she introduced me as her partner. "Claire, darling," Evelyn said, her voice syrupy but laced with venom. "We weren't aware you'd invited company." The word landed like a slap. I forced a smile, my jaw tight, and glanced at Claire. She didn't meet my eyes. Instead, she tucked a strand of auburn hair behind her ear, her fingers trembling slightly. "Evan's not company, Mom," she said, her tone sharp but brittle. "He lives here. With me." Richard's fork clinked against his plate, a deliberate sound. "Lives here," he repeated, his bushy brows arching. "Since when does our daughter shack up with someone we've never met?" The room seemed to shrink, the walls pressing in as their words carved into me. I wanted to scream that I wasn't some drifter, that Claire and I had built a life together, movie nights on our sagging couch, whispered dreams of a future, her head on my chest as we drifted to sleep. But doubt gnawed at me, a quiet whisper I'd ignored for weeks. The late-night texts she'd dismiss as work. The perfume on her scarf that wasn't hers. The way she'd pull away when I reached for her, her smile a mask that didn't quite fit. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside. "I didn't realize I needed an invitation to my own home." Evelyn's eyes narrowed, her manicured nails tapping the table. "Your home," she said, her tone dripping with disbelief. "This is Claire's house. Her name is on the deed. We should know, we helped her buy it." The words hit like a punch to the gut. Claire's hand slipped from mine, and I felt the absence like a burn. I turned to her, waiting for her to correct them, to say it was our home, that the deed was just paperwork, that we were more than that. But she stared at her plate, her silence louder than any confession. "Claire," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The chandelier's light cast jagged shadows across her face, and for a moment, she looked like a stranger. She swallowed, her throat bobbing. "It's complicated, Evan," she said finally, her words fragile, like glass about to shatter. "Complicated." The word was a blade, slicing through the fragile trust I'd clung to. I thought of the mornings we'd spent tangled in bed, her laughter filling the air as we planned a trip to Italy we'd never take. I thought of the night she'd cried in my arms, saying I was the only one who truly saw her. Had it all been a lie? Or had I been too blind to see the truth? Complicated how? I pressed, my voice rising despite myself. Her family leaned forward, their eyes hungry for the drama unfolding. I didn't care. I needed answers, needed to know why the woman I loved was unraveling before me. Claire's phone buzzed on the table, the screen lighting up with a name, Mark. My stomach lurched. Mark, her colleague, the one she'd mentioned in passing, always with a laugh that felt too forced. I'd seen his name on her phone before, late at night, when she thought I was asleep. I'd told myself it was nothing, that I was paranoid, that love meant trust. But now, with her family's eyes boring into me and her silent screaming betrayal, I couldn't ignore it anymore. "Who's Mark?" I asked, my voice low, dangerous. Her eyes flicked to the phone, then to me, wide with panic. "He's just a friend," she said, too quickly. "Work stuff. You know that." Evelyn snorted, a sound that cut through the tension like a knife. "A friend," she said. "Is that what we're calling it now?" "Mom, stop," Claire snapped, but her voice cracked, betraying her. Richard leaned back, his arms crossed, a smirk playing on his lips as if he'd known this secret all along. The room spun, the air thick with unspoken truths. I stood, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor, the sound jarring in the silence. "Claire," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of rage and heartbreak, "tell me the truth. Right now." She looked up at me, her eyes glistening with tears. For a moment, I saw the Claire I loved, the one who'd kissed me under the stars, who'd promised forever. But then her gaze hardened, and she shook her head. "I can't," she whispered. "Not here. Not here." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "This is our home, Claire. Or is it just yours? Is that why your family thinks I'm some kind of trespasser?" Richard stood, his face flushed. "That's enough," he barked. "We came here to talk to our daughter, not to deal with whatever this is." He gestured at me like I was a stain on their perfect world. But I wasn't done. The suspicion that had simmered for weeks boiled over, and I grabbed Claire's phone before she could stop me. The screen unlocked. Her password was still our anniversary, a cruel irony. A text from Mark stared back at me. "Miss you. Same place tomorrow." The words burned into my brain, each one a confirmation of the fears I'd buried. I scrolled up, my hand shaking, and saw months of messages, intimate, playful, damning. My knees buckled, but I stayed upright, fueled by a rage I didn't know I could feel. "Evan, please," Claire said, standing now, her voice desperate. "It's not what you think." "Not what I think," I shouted, slamming the phone on the table. The glassware rattled, and Evelyn gasped. "You've been lying to me, Claire. To my face. Every day." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but I couldn't feel pity, not now. Her family watched, silent, their earlier smugness replaced by unease. They hadn't expected this, hadn't realized their demand to speak to the owner would unravel their daughter's carefully constructed facade. "I didn't mean for it to happen," Claire sobbed. "Mark, he was there when I felt alone. You were always working, always distracted. I didn't know how to tell you." Her words were a knife twisting in my chest. I'd been working to build a future for us, to prove I was worthy of her. And she'd turned to someone else, someone who fit her family's world of wealth and status. "You didn't know how to tell me," I said, my voice breaking. "You could have said anything, Claire. Anything but lies." She reached for me, but I stepped back, the distance between us a chasm I couldn't cross. Her family's demand had been their mistake, but the real betrayal was hers. And yet, as I looked at her tear-streaked face, I felt a pang of guilt. Had I pushed her away? Had I missed the signs? The room fell silent, the weight of shattered trust pressing down on us all. I turned to leave, my heart a wreckage of love and pain. "You can keep the house," I said, my voice cold. "But you've lost something you'll never get back." As I walked out, the chandelier's light flickered, casting long shadows that followed me into the night. Behind me, Claire's sobs echoed, but I didn't look back. Some truths, once uncovered, can never be undone.